Enchanted Tiki Talk is brought to you by Kingdom Strollers. Our premium stroller and crib rentals are delivered straight to your Disney or Orlando area resort. It couldn't be easier. Book yours at kingdomstrollers.com. And Mouse Pros. Let our travel specialist plan your next vacation. Our concierge level service gives you the perfect hassle-free vacation. Get your free quote from Sean or any of our magical agents at mousepros.com. And now, it's show time!
Your attention, please. One show for you to see. One for you and everyone.
Oh, look at all the people. Pay attention, it's showtime.
I am always ready, as you say, to put on the show.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Wait! We forgot to wake up the Glee Club.
Aloha. Come to the Tiki Room. Get your expialidocious tickets right here.
Hello and welcome to Enchanted Tiki Talk. This is episode 283 for May 9th, 2019.
What up, 19?
Yeah, you hear that? This is Keith back in the Tiki. It's been a few weeks.
Hey! Yeah, it's nice to be back finally. Yeah, I was really sick for a while and had a ton of sinus problems in the old beak region, but I'm a whole lot better now and so happy that I am back home again. So. Yeah, and you know, with that, we did get together this past weekend. We did. Which is great. You drove to New Jersey. Yes, and wow, that was the second time that I've driven there, but the first time I've actually drove on the Garden State Parkway. It's an experience. It's like Rope Drop in Pandora. The first week it was open, but everybody had strollers. That's kind of what it felt like. It was crazy. But I survived, had an awesome time. We went and saw Delta Ray play, which was amazing. That was great. As always. That. Yeah, it's my first time seeing them live, so it was a lot of fun seeing them. And it was a small venue, but I mean, the crowd wasn't necessarily right fit for them, but man, they still rocked it. It doesn't matter if they would play a small theater or play a stadium. They will do the exact same show. Amazing staging and lighting, and the harmonies are perfect. I mean, it was just it was just a cool show. So anybody out there who, if you check out their site, deltaray.com, RAE, go check them out on tour. Listen to some of their music. Go see them live, man. They are incredible. They're I mean, if you're a heavy metal person, you're not gonna like it. So, you know, but it's got rock, blues, country, folk. It's got a mix of that kind of stuff, and man, they can rock and play it like there's nobody else. It was incredible. So much energy, man. I absolutely loved it. I want to continue to see them. You know, seeing Mike again from Delta Ray was great, and meeting Grant for the first time, which was a lot of fun too. I enjoyed that, and you know, before that, it was great. You and I going up to the winery with our family was fun. Yep. You know, it was a good time. I'm glad you were able to come up and spend some time. You know, it's always fun when all of us get together. I wish we lived a lot closer than that. But yeah. But and it seems that all we did was eat. I know, man. Oh my god. I'm still trying detox from boardwalk food. So. But that's gonna take a couple weeks. It probably will, but hey, It was worth it. Yeah. All right. So with that, I am going to throw it over to Steve for the news. Steve, take it away.
Hi, Steve from Disney Diary here. This is What's News. A new baby gorilla was born at Animal Kingdom.
So that means we do have a baby girl, and her name is Grace, and that's very important to us here because we work with a gorilla orphanage in the Democratic Republic of Congo that's also named Grace, the Gorilla Rehabilitation and Conservation Education Center.
That was Rachel Janu, the zoological manager at Animal Kingdom. Grace was delivered on May 1st, and now Baby and Mom are bonding on the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail with the rest of the family. And yes, you can see them. The baby is adorable. Fall will mean mornings in the parks at Disney World. From August 29th through November 2nd, the Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and of course, Hollywood Studios will be offering extra magic hours for resort guests daily. Hollywood will open at 6 a.m. to deal with the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge crowd. Animal and Magic will open at 7 a.m. for resort guests, so make sure you get to sleep a little earlier when you head down there this fall. There's now a simpler and cheaper way for tourists renting cars at Orlando International Airport to pay for those pesky toll roads. Instead of paying the fees rental car agencies are asking or digging into your pockets for change in small bills, the Central Florida Expressway Authority is starting to loan out transponders at the airport as part of a pilot program. Select visitors renting cars upon arrival at Orlando International Airport can participate in the pilot program from May 1st to August 1st. What you have to do is just go to visitortollspass.com, and that'll explain everything. Some foodie news for all, but especially for Keith and Sean. A new limited time pre-fee menu inspired by The Lion King is starting June 30th at Chico, the cooking place at Animal Kingdom Lodge. The 3-course menu features dishes inspired by Simba's journey through life. No grubs are involved in this one.
Hey, this looks like a good spot to rustle up some grub. Ew, what's that? A grub.
There's a new signature celebration package for Cinderella's Royal Table that includes reserved happily ever after fireworks viewing in the West Plaza Garden and an after fireworks dessert party at the Tomorrowland Terrace. Now, this is in addition to the dinner at the restaurant. Price tag is $199 per person. And finally, the Magic Kingdom has a new VIP tour. The Taste of Magic Kingdom. During the tour, you taste your way through the kitchens of the Magic Kingdom while chefs and cast members share the history of Disney Parks food and look at what it takes to create new menu items. The cost is $99. Please visit us at DisneyDiary.com for the latest news. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Disney Diary. Now, back to the Tiki Hut.
We are back from the break. Steve, I want to thank you for the news again this week. So, with that, on tonight's show, we're turning that frown upside down. And we've all had those not so magical things that have happened to us in the Disney parks. And we're going to share some of those experiences with you now and how we continue to enjoy the magic. So, with that being said, Keith came up with the idea, and I'm going to throw Keith under the bus and let it roll over him on the parkway, and Keith can go first.
This was kind of like a funny story, but it was super annoying at the time. So we had caught this early flight there. We had some issues at the Magical Express and whatnot. And so as we get at the resort, now with me, I choose to skip the online for the check-in, and I stand and wait. And so that way, it seems as if you get a better service. You get to kind of, like talk to them and see if you can get like a renovated room, or at the time it was like bed preference and building preference and stuff like that. So like I stood there and waited. I talked to the cast member. It was a fairly a routine check-in. We get the room number, walk up there. Our magic bands won't work. So we tried it a couple of times. As we walk back down, have to stand in line again, wait, explain the situation. Here, the cast member had wrote the room number down wrong. So we get the new room number, let's walk all the way back up there. We try our magic bands, it doesn't work again. So at this point, it's pretty frustrating.
Of course it is.
Especially we've got our fast passes booked, blah, blah, blah. So I take and fidget with the handle and try the band. Well, here, the door opens up. There's a woman in a sweatshirt who I think was trying to take a nap. I'm not sure. And she goes, can I help you? And I said, we were told this is our room. And she goes, well, that's obviously not the case, because they were still there. So we kind of like chuckled and laughed. I mean, yes, it's frustrating, but I mean, it's kind of a funny situation and stuff. So then we went back down. We talked to them again. At this point, we had skipped our first fast pass or missed it. they ended up giving us a couple of fast passes and stuff to make it up to us, but it's one of those things that it seems like it's really frustrating at the time, but then, once it's over with and you're kind of at the park, you kind of relax a little bit and say, okay, that's over with and done, and so let's move on with our trip. So that was this was one of those things that could have kind of ruined our trip, or at least the first day of it, but did you just kind of have to chuckle and laugh those things off sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, I've had several times where magic bands haven't worked, and I think the last time was a year ago or so. It didn't work. We've had problems, but I'd say 5 to 10 times I've had issues with magic bands, so I know how frustrating that can get.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, so one of mine is having, on 2 separate occasions, we've had experiences in DVC rooms where they were not so clean.
No.
I'm not going to go into details of what they were. Because,
please don't.
Yeah, because both of them weren't great. I mean, one of them had cockroaches in it, and one of them was something else, and one of them was cockroaches. Yeah, it's just all this stuff just was not good. And I know the difference between a cockroach and a water bug and all that, whatever. I knew what the cockroach was. And both occasions, Disney made it right, which was good. It was the one time we moved from the Animal Kingdom Lodge and we got moved to the Polynesian because we didn't want to stay at that resort anymore just because of that, how bad it got. But Disney made it right. They moved us to the Polynesian. It was the first time I was ever staying at the Polynesian. That was incredible. I loved that. And then the second time was Old Key West, and we had a problem. They upgraded us to a 2-bedroom. And, both times Disney took care of us and made it right. And I got DVC points back, so it was almost like getting a free stay, so that's even better. And because I think both times, the Polynesian ones, I think, was 2-night stay, and the one at Old Key West was like a 3-night stay. So it was nice because they were both short trips. So at least Disney made it right and made us feel good when that went wrong. But I know that some people out there have had bad experiences, and Disney, didn't do anything, didn't go over and beyond to help them out. But, with the Old Key West one, we also got a free meal. We ended up going to the boathouse for that. So it really worked out for us. And some of those, we might have lost a couple of hours because of dealing with those room issues, but at least it worked out in the end, and Disney made up for it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, people tend to forget it's still a hotel. It feeds and houses a ton of people, and things do get missed. I know, expectations there are super high and stuff like that. But I mean, stuff happens, and especially though, I mean, with your room, you just want to get there, get your stuff, put it down and stuff, and rest for a few minutes after flying and stuff. So that it does kind of stain your whole first day, but at least it seems like that they went above and beyond to make it up to you.
Exactly.
So this one was kind of a wake-up call for me as far as how I do our Disney trips now. The solo trip I took, I know that we had talked about it and stuff like on the show, but I did actually miss my FastPass day. It was a hectic week at work, and I just completely blanked out that it was the 60th day, and I had to make FastPass reservations until about, I don't know, like 8 o'clock that night. And it's like I jumped on, and man, there was nothing left. Right. I got the bigger rides. I mean, was tons of fast passes for Figment, but Flight of Passage and blah blah, and all those big ones were gone. So I said, screw it. I'm just gonna go and kind of wing it. Should just take a walk around, enjoy the parks. If it's a shorter wait, I'll check for fast passes there. If I can, I can. If I can't, I'll find something else to do. It really did change my perception of how you can enjoy the parks without being on a schedule. For like every past trip, I had, every park mapped out, every attraction, every meal, like to the T, was planned out. If you just allow yourself to enjoy the parks and just like stroll around and take it all in, it's a much more relaxing trip, but you still get to do enough to feel as if the trip was successful and full of magic.
I think that's easier said than done when you're spending $6,000 for not even a week stay in Walt Disney World.
Well, that's why I said it was a solo trip at that point. Even the past trip with just as my wife and I, we had planned out like certain things, and we ended up hipping fast passes and doing things just because we were enjoying other things at the time. So instead of rushing across the park in 20 minutes to get a fast pass, since we just said, we're enjoying being here, we'll try and catch that later or something. So right. I'm sure it's a little more difficult with children and schedules and eating times, bedtimes and stuff like that, but I don't have that, so so it's like I can only talk from experience on my experiences.
Right. So my next one here is one of the things was I forget what trip it was, but on a recent trip we had to go to the Magic Kingdom to get our passes to start the trip, and we ended up waiting online for 90 minutes in the hot sun to get to the front of the line at guest services, which wasn't fun. It's just, there was one person that was up there, one group of people that was up there for a good 30 minutes before we were able to move, and they only had three or four people working at the thing in the line, and one would think you only had 20 people in front of you. One would think in that time frame, maybe a half hour. No, 90 minutes. So in that time frame, we ended up missing a fast pass, and it was going to our next fast pass window. They ended up giving us, and it was a fast pass for a mine train too. So because that was frustrating, was that you have the kids waiting there for an hour and a half, and they're not able to get in there and do anything. They're just standing around. When are we going in? When are we doing this? When are we doing that? Oh no, we missed mine train, because I'm saying, I'm going to shower, like, we got 15 minutes now. If we're not in there in the next 15 minutes, we're not going to make the attraction. So Connor's getting mad because he's not going to be able to go on the ride. But luckily, guest services, they gave us the pass where we can use it anytime on the app. So they just added it to our account. So we just were able to just go up and use it at any time. So that worked out. But still, it's an hour and a half out of my day that I lost. I know that you gave me a fast pass to make up for it, but you only gave me one fast pass for the one I missed. So, but still, it's an hour and a half lost. But we were still, once we were in the park, we were happy and doing things. So, sometimes the magic just takes a little bit longer.
It seems like, like Saturday at noon at the grocery store, and like there's only like 2 checkouts open, and there's like 100 people standing with full carts to check out.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, and sadly, it seems like they just don't like staff as much as they used to, and I think that's a shame. Like, especially in those customer service roles where that does essentially like make or break a family's entire day standing there. I mean, it could be really, really like a tough situation, especially when you just want to, go berserk and hop the counter, but your kids are standing right there. This next one, this was actually from our first trip we had taken. We were with my cousins. We went in August that year, so it was very hot, very humid. We were walking into Epcot that day. I took his washcloth that was from our room, and I had it in my back pocket because I knew I was going to sweat. This was pre-security checks and the metal detectors and that stuff. It wasn't even in place yet. And as I walked up, I put the key on thing, and I was walking past, and I was walking through, and I heard, hey, hey, you, hey. And it's like I stopped and like I turned around and his cast member was like running like towards me. So I was like, what? And she goes, what's in your back pocket? What's in your back pocket? This time the security guard was walking over and all this stuff. And I said, it's a rag. That's not a rag. Pull it out. And I was like, okay. So it's like I pulled it out. I'm like, it's a washcloth. I said, it's August. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 100 out here. It's a washcloth. And she just goes, oh, okay, fine then. I'm like it really like it got me all like kinds of fired up. I'm like, I was like, what's the deal? I'm like, I could see it if I had a 6-pack of cans like stuffed in pockets, or it's like I had a pistol that was hanging off me or something. Like a washcloth, like they really went and made a humongous deal like out of a washcloth, and it really took me like hours and a couple of adult beverages to kind of to calm myself back down.
Oh, jeez.
Because the more I thought about it, the more upset I got, and it's really stupid. I mean, the whole situation was just completely stupid, but
right.
Like I wanted to just to kind of to go back and rip her head off, but
oh, jeez.
I didn't, of course, people. But
next would be it's kind of what the thing is like dealing with kids, like when you're in line and you're ready to go on to an attraction, or you're waiting to get in line, and one of your kids has a meltdown because they don't want to ride it. So how do you deal with that? And it's basically, you know, you and your partner wants to go on that attraction and they can't because your one kid is giving you a hard time because they don't want to go on it. So you do have to take a step back, and somebody's going to have to sit the attraction out and do rider swaps. So the worst part about that happens is if you are all together, and when you go on the line and you're like pretty far into the line, then you have to backtrack. You all have to backtrack out and go back to where the cast members were, so the other person can get the rider swap. So one time that happened to us, and it was on Splash Mountain, and we got up there and we had to back out, and when we went back to the cast member ended up just giving us fast passes just to get onto the attraction, so we didn't have to go through the whole line again. They just let us go through the fast pass line, so we went through the fast pass line, and then when we got out, Sharon was able to ride it with Connor because Kelsey didn't want to do it. So luckily the cast member was nice enough. Didn't have to do that at all. We were not expecting that, but luckily enough they allowed us to do that, and this was I think like last year, so luckily they did that. And then another thing is when it goes regards to kids is that one time Connor dropped his ice pop or an ice cream, it was something like that, and started to cry, and the cast member was coming up to us like, oh, like, why are you crying? What's wrong? You know, checking up on everything, and they ended up getting us an ice pop to replace the one that we dropped. So that was nice. So magic happens all over the place.
Explain the rider swap. I'm not sure. It's like if a lot of people like know about that or how it works.
Well, now it's that it's app based, so it goes onto your Magic Band. So what'll happen now is you'll go up to let's just say 7 Dwarfs Mine Train. So I go up there with Sharon and the kids, and we go up to the front, and we say, Connor and I are going to ride, and that my wife and Kelsey are going to sit out. So they will scan, I think they scan Sharon's band or my band and then Sharon's band. And once you get through the attraction, you're allowed to go ahead and swap out. So then I would come out and Sharon would go in with Connor. I would stay with Kelsey, and they would show their magic band, and it would allow them to go through. So
cool.
In the past, it used to be they would give you a necklace with a card on it for rider swap, and you would hand that in to the cast member in the front, and then they would give you the ticket. So they've changed it.
Okay, cool. And so this final one of mine, we were there, like I want to say a couple of years ago. It was our final morning, So we had, it was like a 1 o'clock flight or 2 o'clock flight, which means the Magical Express was picking us up at like 11 o'clock or something like that. We always try and end our trips at the Magic Kingdom. It's just a thing that we've always done. So we get up and rope drop. They were having the early magic hours that day. So we got in and we was walking around and we stopped at shops, picked up a few things and whatnot. And then I said, well, let's have a final like Dole Whip float before we have to leave. And so we walked over. Cast members said that they had some issues with the machines, and so they didn't get them started quite as soon as normal. I said, oh shoot, and I said, this is our final day, and I just wanted one for old time's sakes until it's like our next trip. And she was like, well, and she told us to come and stop back in like 10 or 15 minutes. I said, fine. So we walked around. So we came back, and she said she had remembered us. And so she turned around, and she completely went and filled up these cups. There was no hollow center. There was nothing. I mean, this thing was completely full. And she handed them to us, and I went to scan my band and pay for them. And she goes, no, this one's on Mickey. I wished us a safe trip home. And like one of those moments that it doesn't matter like how expensive Disney gets. It's those types of memories that keeps people coming back there. It's not that like, you know, I got something free. It's not that. It's just the fact that people do actually care. They do actually care if you have an enjoyable time. They tend to always go above and beyond, ensure that you do enjoy your time there. And I think that I know that parks have changed, and you know, this has changed and that has changed, but it's those like types of things that it keeps like drawing you back. It's a feeling like of being appreciated and welcome and cared for. And I think a lot of times we kind of get into that downer syndrome of like, you know, complaining about things and stuff like that. But if you just remember those times instead of all the not so magical ones.
Yeah, I mean, I oftentimes, you know, I even had a hard time coming up with some bad things that have happened, and I have a harder time remembering some of that. You know, I don't know. I think sometimes I tend to remember more of the better times a lot, but maybe sometimes more of that's triggered when I'm talking to other people. So, you know, I don't always dwell on the negative, but it's like now it's more so the negative things that are happening within the company itself as opposed to my trips.
Right, yeah. I mean, and it's the whole, you know, Twitterverse and the mob mentality now that it seems to be the norm instead of the exception,
right? Which
is sad, but true.
All right, so my last one is that a few years ago we went to Germany to eat, and there was 4 or 5 of us, and we went up to the counter, the counter there, and we said, you know, we'd like to sit, and we were told that they don't take walk-up reservations, and that you had to either do it through the app or do it over the phone, and we were kind of shocked because we've never heard that before, but that was a rule, and that's what they said. So we were like, okay, well, let's go find some place else to eat. So we ended up going over to Via Napoli.
Nice.
And that was the first time we ever tried Via Napoli, and we loved it. Because of us being told no in one place, we were able to enjoy our food in another. So I want to thank Germany for allowing us to go to Via Napoli, because we weren't planning on going, and I don't know if we were ever planning on going at that point. So that put it on the list of places of a restaurant that we need to try. So we got to enjoy it.
As one country closes, another one opens.
Yep. All right, so I think that's it. Got anything else?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
I think I'm off my soapbox now.
There you go. That's going to do it for this week, but first we want to thank our sponsors, Kingdom Strollers. Get your premium stroller and crib rental at kingdomstrollers.com. Let the vacation experts at mousepros.com help plan your next perfect Disney vacation. Don't forget to check our store at redbubble.com/Tiki Talk Podcast. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook and Channel Tiki Talk, Instagram, and Twitter at Tiki Talk Podcast. You can also leave us a message on the Tiki Talk hotline. That's 256-4MY-TIKI. That's 256-469-8454. If you enjoy the show, please take the time and rate us on iTunes. And notice I made no errors for the first time ever. You can find me on Twitter at 1 Minute to Dream. Dang. 1 Minute Disney Dream. That's 1MIN Disney Dream. MouseWorldVacations.com and MousePros.com.
And you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Dole Whip Daily. And check out my new food blog. You can also find that on Instagram and on Twitter. It's at Chef's Life, the number 4 me.
I want to thank Steve for sending in the news again this week. You can check out Steve at Disney Diary. And Alan, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks for listening this week. For Sean and Keith, I'm Alan, and this has been Enchanted Tiki Talk. Aloha.
Man, I was doing so good. I finished that whole spiel the first time, didn't screw it up, and then I screw up my stupid Twitter name.
Your Twitter handle. Well, but if you didn't screw it up, it wouldn't be like an episode. It just would have been,
I know,
like a Figment.
You're just like the attraction. They screwed that up with Figment.
They did not.
Yes, they did. That's not a good attraction. I know you love it, but it's not a good attraction.
I like Figment. I don't really necessarily enjoy the attraction so much, but...
Oh, good. The truth comes out.
The character Figment, I love that.
All right.
So that's why it's like I write it all the time. It's because I like Figment.
All right. I'll just pretend you didn't say that. No, only kidding.
He's cute.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Enchanted Tiki Talk has been brought to you by mousepros.com. Let us plan your perfect Disney vacation. And by kingdomstrollers.com for all your premium stroller and crib rental needs. For all of us here, I'm David Benter. Thanks for listening to Enchanted Tiki Talk.